Hi, my name is Dr. Lian and welcome to another topic in Periodontics today. So again, a reminder that the mind map we will be referring to is from this book containing all the mind maps from Periodontics, which is available for purchase on Amazon, Flipkart and the official MediStudyGo website as well. So you all can get your copy from there. So now let's go to the topic for today. So the topic for today is Mucogingival Junction. A very important topic. Although it may seem small, it is by no means irrelevant. It is a very important topic because it helps us in periodontal diagnosis as well as treatment planning. So let's look at it now. So we begin with the definition. So what is a mucogingival junction? This scalloped line that demarcates the attached gingiva from the alveolar mucosa. So if you look at the demarcation and if you look at the alveolar mucosa, it is dark red in color. It has a smooth surface and it is non-keratinized. Whereas in comparison, the attached gingiva is stippled, it is coral pink in color and it is also immovable. Whereas the alveolar mucosa is movable. So these are important differences that you will see in a patient between the alveolar mucosa and the attached gingiva. So there is a very clear demarcation between these two structures, which is your mucogingival junction. Now, where is the mucogingival junction absent? It is absent in the hard palate and the maxillary alveolar process. So with this, we've seen the definition, we've seen the demarcations. So now let's go to the location methods. So how do you locate the mucogingival junction? So first of all, why do you need to locate the mucogingival junction? So we've covered this under the topic attached gingiva, but again, just a recap. So when you need to calculate your width of attached gingiva, this is where locating the mucogingival junction comes into play. Because the mucogingival junction is a very important landmark. It remains stationary throughout life. So any changes in the width of attached gingiva are because of the movement of the margin of the gingiva, not because of any changes in the position of this mucogingival junction, which is stationary throughout life. So how do you locate the mucogingival junction? Again, recap. There is the functional method with passive movements of the cheeks and the lips. Under this, there is tension test and roll test. Please refer to the topic on attached gingiva for this for a detailed explanation. Then anatomically, like we discussed earlier, there are very clear differences between the alveolar mucosa and the attached gingiva. Alveolar mucosa is red in color, it is smooth, it is non-keratinized, it is movable. Whereas attached gingiva is coral pink in color, it is stippled, it is immovable, and you can clearly make out the difference between these two structures. Then histologically, using Schiller's iodine solution, Schiller's or Lugol solution. Basically, how this works is because of the glycogen content in the alveolar mucosa, the alveolar mucosa gets stained brown in color on application of this solution, whereas the attached gingiva remains unstained. So you are clearly able to demarcate the two structures and the distinction between them. So this is about the location methods. Now coming to the importance of the mucogingival junction. So it marks the apical termination of the attached gingiva, with the exception, where is it absent? We just saw earlier, it's absent at the palatal side. Also, this landmark is important in periodontal disease because its position remains constant. So just like we discussed earlier, any changes in the width of attached gingiva is because of changes in the margin, because the mucogingival junction remains constant. So this landmark is very important when you're assessing the width of attached gingiva, when you're planning periodontal surgeries. So we will see this gradually as we cover more topics in periodontics, but for now just know that this is a very important landmark. So when it comes to gingival recession, there is a very important classification which is commonly used. There are numerous classifications, but this is one that is commonly used. That is Miller's classification of gingival recession, given in the year 1985. So this makes use of the mucogingival junction as a landmark, and it classifies recession into 4 types. So let's look at each of these one by one. So if you look at class 1, this one right here. So here the features are the recession does not extend to the mucogingival junction and there is no loss of interdental papilla and bone. So basically this is the recession over here. Okay, it does not extend to the mucogingival junction. There is no loss of interdental papilla or bone. So if you do any root coverage procedures, you can expect an excellent outcome from them. Okay, this is class 1. Now class 2. So here the recession extends to or beyond the mucogingival junction, but again there is no interdental bone or soft tissue loss. So even here you can expect 100% root coverage. So that is class 2. Now in class 3, here the recession extends beyond the mucogingival junction and there is some loss of interdental bone and soft tissue or tooth malposition. So here only partial coverage is expected. So it will look like something like this. So the recession defect has extended beyond the mucogingival junction as is seen here, and there is some amount of loss of interdental bone and soft tissue and tooth malposition as well. So this is class 3. Now coming to class 4. So in class 4, again recession extends beyond the mucogingival junction. There is severe bone and soft tissue loss or severe tooth malposition. So here the outcome of any root coverage procedures would be very poor. The graft will fail. So if you look at the clinical picture, it will be something like this. The recession has extended beyond the mucogingival junction. There is loss of interdental bone and soft tissue, and there will also be severe tooth malposition. So this is about Miller's classification of recession. So here you make use of the mucogingival junction to classify recession into 4 types. Again, remember this, the best candidates for root coverage are class 1 and class 2. So for this, we have referred to the notes from the NEET Resources section on the MediStudyGo app. So you all can access these notes as well and have a look at them and refer to them. So the mucogingival junction is a very important landmark. So it is important when it comes to assessing the width of attached gingiva. The clinical significance of width of attached gingiva, of course, we already know. So it's a very important landmark. So just like I mentioned earlier, the mucogingival junction is a very important landmark when you're planning mucogingival surgery, of course. Now this topic is a little bit beyond the scope of this video today, but basically it helps you plan your flap designs based on the mucogingival junction. There's a lot more to it which we will understand gradually as we look at the topics and we look at periodontal surgical topics. But for now, just remember it's an important landmark, not just for diagnosis, but also for treatment planning and planning mucogingival surgical procedures. So this also is a part of the notes that we have access to on the MediStudyGo app. So you all can check this out over there as well. So let's test our knowledge with this flashcard now. Where is the mucogingival junction absent? The answer, the hard palate and maxillary alveolar process. Now let's solve an MCQ. The mucogingival junction is defined as option A, the junction between the marginal gingiva and attached gingiva, the junction between the attached gingiva and alveolar mucosa, the junction between gingiva and tooth, the junction between the interdental papilla and marginal gingiva. So clearly, just like we discussed earlier, the answer is option B. Let's check if we are right. Yes. So the mucogingival junction is the junction between the attached gingiva and the alveolar mucosa. Attached gingiva is firm, immovable and keratinized, and alveolar mucosa is loose, movable and non-keratinized. So we discussed this earlier. Next, the mucogingival junction remains constant throughout life. It does not change with age or eruption. It is visible clinically as a scalloped line where the attached gingiva ends and the alveolar mucosa begins. So the gingiva mucosa demarcation is best visualized using a tension test or by visual inspection of color texture differences. So basically this is a little summary of everything that we have discussed earlier. So let's discuss each of the options and see why they are incorrect. So option A, the junction between the marginal and attached gingiva. For this, let's go to the image above. So this is the marginal gingiva here. This is the attached gingiva here. So the junction between this is the free gingival groove. So option A is incorrect. Now why is option C incorrect? Because the junction between the gingiva and the tooth is the junctional epithelial attachment. We will be covering junctional epithelium soon in a topic. So for now, just remember this. Option D, the junction between the interdental papilla and the marginal gingiva. Again, this is within gingiva. It's an incorrect option. So the correct answer is this. So the mucogingival junction is the junction between the attached gingiva and the alveolar mucosa. It is a scalloped clinical line, remains constant throughout life, and you can clearly make out the demarcation between the keratinized attached gingiva and the non-keratinized alveolar mucosa. And tension test is one of the tests that is used to locate the mucogingival junction. There are other ways as well. We've discussed them. Now, on either side of the mucogingival junction, what are the structures that are there? There is the attached gingiva, which is firm and immovable. There is the alveolar mucosa, which is loose and movable. The color, you can clearly make out the change from the pink attached gingiva to the red alveolar mucosa. And stippling, you can clearly make out how it's present in the attached gingiva, absent in the alveolar mucosa. So, with that, we have solved this MCQ. So, just like this flashcard and MCQ, there are other resources like this which are available on the MediStudyGo app. So, you will find mind maps, notes, videos, and other flashcards and MCQs that will help you perfect the subject better and understand it well. So, do check it out. Thank you.